At home or far away, wherever you're listening to us, welcome to the 2026 opening round of the Cat Pack, a podcast with four nuff nuffs who just happen to love the Geelong Football Club. My name's Ronnie, an international Cats member living in Toronto, Canada. With me, musician, activist, and someone who can open a bag of chips silently, even in a quiet room, Scott Darlow.
Thank you, Ronnie. And I did major in that subject during university and did very well at it, clearly.
A 60-game veteran of footy and the real reason Kyle and Jackie O split up, Simon Hawking.
Thank you, Ronnie. Great to be with you guys.
And the Cats' number one fan, your favourite footy nerd, the guy who's watched every Cats game in history twice, Mr. Marcus Holt.
G'day, Ronnie. G'day, boys. Yes, well, I've watched a lot of games. I don't think I'll watch last night's again, though.
Well, I'm going to say this. Two things. Correct, Marcus. None of us are watching last night's game. But more importantly, Ronnie, spot on about Kyle and Jackie O. And look, not the first relationship that Simon has managed to wedge himself into either, by the way.
Well, there was Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston, famous.
Well, there was that. Yeah. There was Bomber Thompson and the Cats. Anyway, we could go on.
Needless to say, I had nothing to do with it. I barely even know them, but I'm not unhappy. I'm not unhappy with what's transpired from what I believe of their show.
You are our cultural moral compass, Hawk, so thank you for those words of wisdom. Marcus, do we have a quiz? Like, can we stall talking about the disaster that was that game?
Yeah, just one quiz question stemming back to the State of Origin a couple of weeks ago, which was a very good game. How many Cats were involved in the State of Origin game?
Okay, good to think about. We'll do that. We'll come back to it at the end of the podcast. All right, we've put it off long enough. That was brutal. I'm calling Crime Stoppers to lodge a missing persons report, if that's okay. Bailey Smith, Brian Myers, Tom Stewart, the list goes on. Where were they?
Oh, gosh, it was soft. I only watched about half of it because, to be fair, I was having dinner and I had every intention to go home and watch the whole thing on delay. But at quarter time, I accidentally checked the scores and saw we were 7 goals down. And at that point, I thought, oh, gosh, nah. So I came and watched the second half, and it was gross. I saw far too many of the same things from the same players that continued to let us down last year. Did you boys catch in the WhatsApp thread? I sent you a video. I actually rewound it on KO and I sent footage of Ollie Henry literally just not putting his body at the contest. And from what I gather from commentators, it wasn't the first time that he did that. You know, there are players at Geelong who even only, and I know that I'm prone to overreacting, as Marcus will tell you, but there are players at Geelong who would want to be on. Geez, they'd want to pull their finger out next week because there are blokes who won't play senior footy again if they put in another effort like that.
It was.
They'd have to be blokes on. They'd have to be blokes on notice, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I'll say one thing in defence of the Cats from experience, and Ronnie will understand this now. Ronnie's currently making snow angels on the front lawn in Toronto, but when he was in his prime, he was strutting his stuff along Cavill Avenue on the Gold Coast. And 100%. One thing about there is the climate is different and the humidity and the heat's different, and it was pretty obvious last night. They did mention it, but you could also see, the commentators mentioned it, but you could also see it on the players. And you might dismiss that as being something that's not very impactful, but I can tell you, having travelled even over to Perth and then up to Brisbane to play, that subtle difference in the climate, particularly when it goes into heat and humidity, just sucks the life out of you if you're not prepared for it or used to it. That's only a minor excuse because there was a gulf between the two teams, and clearly the Gold Coast have improved massively. And I think Ross Lyon famously called them last year the AFL's Nepo baby. Well, the AFL's getting what they want because they've got a super young team that's going to be right at the top of the league this year.
We were terrible, but the Gold Coast were excellent, and that's what made it so ugly.
I think that's a really important point. You guys know that I was very wary of getting on the Gold Coast train last season, but they've left the station at a rate of knots this year. And think about it. They've added Christian Petrarca to the team, who seems like somebody who's suddenly found new life and meaning after a couple of horrible years at Melbourne. And they didn't have Matt Rowell playing. Let's just add the Brownlow medalist into that mix from last night. So, yeah, they're going to be a force. And they played with such speed. That was the thing. The speed of ball movement and the pressure. Geelong just never got a free possession, an easy possession. We were just under intense pressure, tackled continually. So forcing mistakes on us, and they capitalised.
Yeah, absolutely, Marcus. You're right about Petrarca. My wife works at a elite high performance training physio clinic, and so Christian Petrarca trained with her boss right over the summer. So she sort of got a good look at him training right through the summer, and he is in ripping nick. He'll go close to winning a Brownlow up there this year. I mean, he probably got 3 votes last night. Let's be honest with you. He had 30 possessions and kicked 3 goals from the midfield. It was interesting hearing the commentators talk about how he's essentially playing that Dustin Martin role, that Hardwick had Martin playing at Richmond in those premiership years. And the other thing that, I don't know if you boys copped this overnight, Jamara Ugle-Hagan kicked 6 in the reserves yesterday. So he's going to come in. Like, they are going to be very, very good this year. That being said, it doesn't change the fact that Geelong had far too many players who just did not give the effort required when you're getting thumped, And I think back in the old days when you had a Joel Selwood or you had a Danger or you had some of those senior players in those moments who just go, I'm going to put my body on the line or I'm going to bust through that pack or I'm going to take a big mark or do whatever I've got to do to show everybody else this is how we do it at Geelong. Last night, that didn't seem to happen.
So the players let us down, but I feel like I saw something on the coverage that I want to explore with you boys. There were often shots of the coach's box, which they do. That's what they do when we watch televised games. I saw zero dynamic between Chris Scott and Nathan Buckley. Like, they looked like they could have been a couple waiting at a boardroom table to sign divorce papers. They didn't look like remotely they were friends, let alone they were rowing in the same direction. Was that just me watching that whole thing disgruntled and sad because the game didn't go like I want, or did you guys see that too?
I don't know that Chris Scott ever really shows a whole lot of emotion, does he? In the box, like, does he ever really? I know there's that famous footage of him, having a sandwich and doing it, but that's from a very long, long time ago.
Yeah.
I think that he has made it his mission since becoming a meme to give them no fodder.
Yeah, maybe. Sure.
So
I can see what you mean, though, Ronnie, from the footage, and I can see why you interpreted it that way. It's difficult to understand the dynamics without being in the inner sanctum there, but it would be curious to know more about that relationship.
It just worried me a little bit.
I maintain, I said this to you last year and you all laughed at me. Remember Geelong had a big investigation into them last year over salary cap and all of that stuff. And then when the final verdict came down, they basically got slapped with wet lettuce. And I maintain that the AFL have got an agenda that they want Tasmania to work. They want Nathan Buckley to be the first coach and they want him to get an up-close look. He's been out of coaching for a few years now. I'm certain, I should say certain, I'll bet you anything though that the AFL went to Geelong and said, listen, take him in. He's going to take that Stephen King role. I don't care if you want him. Chris Scott may not have even wanted him. I mean, don't forget they spent a year together at Brisbane. They've been adversaries for 15 years. Chris Scott may have had his hand forced and gone, right, if you take him for a year, this is the punishment you'll get as opposed to the punishment you won't get. Like, we don't even know.
Well, that's deep conspiracy, but I like it.
It is, and I'm running with it.
I like a good conspiracy theory.
I was waiting for the do-do-do-do music to come on in the background there.
I think you just did it.
I think they're going to be okay as far as that goes. I think they were both a bit shell-shocked by what was happening. And they do catch them at, like isolated moments.
Yeah.
So you don't know what else is going on. I spoke very briefly to Mark Blitzarves in the preseason at a training session and asked him how Bucks was going or what it was like having Bucks there. He said, oh, it's great. Really like him. Got lots of knowledge. He's really involved. And so I think the players are sort of enjoying having him there. And you watch a bit of footage in the preseason and you can see him interacting with players and giving them little hints and tips and guides and stuff. I mean, Buckley's an accomplished football person, great player, pretty good coach. I think he'll be a benefit at Geelong. I don't know about you, Scotty. I mean, I don't know where Geelong will end up this year. We have that benefit of Cardinia Park, and usually we win most of our games down there. That sets us up for a run at finals. I'm not going to judge them on one game, but I do have a sense that we will slip a bit this year for sure.
And we'll get to predictions soon. I can't wait to uncover all of that stuff with you boys.
Just to finish off on this, I don't know about Scotty's conspiracy theory, but I will say this. If Nathan Buckley and Chris Scott become astronauts, they will never make it to the...
I don't even know
Well,
that.
here's the thing, mate, and this is going down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole. I'll give you the tip. No one's ever made it to the moon. Didn't happen.
That's what I'm
With you,
saying.
Scotty. With you.
Never happened.
You three are notorious for beating up on the umpires. There were more turnovers than a local bakery last night. How did we feel about the umpiring?
Do they have a professional full-time role where they're paid as full-time employees of the AFL yet so that they can focus on their job properly? No. So they're still amateurs in a professional competition. What do you expect from these poor buggers?
Took us exactly 11 minutes to dust out that bandwagon, and I'm
It's
in for it.
true, and I will not stop going on about it until the AFL stop being a bunch of tight asses. All those executives, they're probably on $250,000 a year, and none of them are qualified to make that money, by the way.
I'm lost for words, Ronnie. Really, I actually am. I'm not sure. The inconsistencies just are one of the things that make me turn the game off. It's just so bad, and it's not their fault completely because they're given probably different areas to focus on and different interpretations and all this sort of thing. But it's the rules around it too. You know, there's the centre bounce basketball jump we've got now, and the basketball and soccer style change of possession when it goes over the boundary line, and all those things. It Fairnicke makes me. And you guys know I can't stand watching most of the footy, and I know from last night I'm going to watch even less this year. So I will come and join you guys on a weekend though, because I love sharing this moment with you. I love seeing you and catching up on the weekend. Just don't expect me to understand much more about the footy.
You're going to have to change that intro, Ronnie, our resident expert, to our resident former footballer.
Yeah.
Well,
our resident curmudgeon.
let's try and polish the turd. Can we find 3 stars anywhere, Scotty?
Yeah, 3 stars this week go to me, who spent countless hours on Skyscanner, eventually finding a half reasonable airfare to Japan to celebrate my wife's birthday. Took me hours. So I'm giving myself 3 stars for that.
Nice. Hawk, what about you?
I actually, believe it or not, gave this no thought. This is one of the things I'd forgotten about. Sorry, Ronnie, but now that you mention it, Tanner Bruin.
Your preparation, honestly, it's like it warms my heart.
I did prepare some other things, you'd be pleased to know. But Tanner Bruin had a great game. That was really good, given what he's been through. And he, as much as we're talking about how bad the Cats were, he was a shining light last night, so that's good. My other star, and I don't know which way to. It's a star and the naughty corner. Did you guys watch the Matildas Iranian game? They were just, in soccer. I'm down on soccer really for one reason, and that's the amount of time players roll around on the ground feigning injuries and delaying. The Iranian women just took it to a whole new level. It was comical and frustrating all at the same time. It got to the point where it was like, gee, come on. What? Right, we've enjoyed the show, but this has got to stop. Something's got to be done. So, yeah, star and naughty corner for them. I know some of them. There was a story on the news this morning. Some of them don't want to go back, and that's fine. And really, all credit to them for being out. I can't think of anything worse for them than being isolated from what's going on right now. And so, we had all sympathy for them, and then they got to the point of saying, well, come on, this is probably a bit... And some of them want to stay, I believe. Here's the thing. Medicare is already under stress. We may not be able to handle... It might collapse if they feign the sort of illness that they were... we have to somehow draw the line with their management that this can't go on.
You can stay, but that's got to stop.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm with you, though, Hawk. I can't watch soccer. There's so much horizontal writhing. I don't know if I'm on a sports channel or Pornhub.
But just in this one case, Ron, if you haven't seen it, go back and watch. I'm sure someone's put a highlights package on YouTube. There's some absolute rippers. The goalie at one stage, there was no one around her. There was no contact. Nothing actually happened. And she fell on the ground and rolled around. Grabbed her shoulder. It was gold.
Sideways tangent here, but speaking of soccer, I don't know if you boys have seen Wrexham in the championship are now sitting sixth on the table. They're probably gonna play finals, like playoffs, to potentially go up again in their first year. They've gone promotion, promotion, promotion. Like they'd be going very well. I don't know how much you guys have followed the championship. They'd be going very, very well to go through, because I think it's only the top two that go through, or top two and maybe a playoff contender. But gosh, the fact that they're even, because they started this season poorly, they were getting flogged at the start. And there was calls for Phil Parkinson, their manager, to be sacked. But credit to them, they've stuck with him. And to be sitting sixth on the championship now at this pointy end of the season is ridiculous, what they've done at that club.
3 stars, Marcus.
Yeah, well, Hawk sort of pinched one really. Tanner Bruin was a standout last night, and I was really glad to see how well he did. And the other one, and this guy is brilliant for cameos, is Ollie Dempsey. Just that ability to suddenly burst into a game, take a big hanger, end up with the ball in the goal square, kick a few goals in a row. He did the same thing in the last quarter of the grand final, and he really dragged us from utter despair last night back into at least a modicum of respectability. So he's a really interesting footballer. He just plays a unique style, I reckon, and he's good value. I think there's an outside chance we can get him on the podcast too.
Oh, nice. He's my 3 stars too. If it wasn't for him, our percentage would be in the 30s right now. So God bless Ollie Dempsey. Naughty corner, Scott.
Naughty corner. Look, I hate doing this, because last year I made a decision. I'm not going to pot our own players after I'd potted our players for ages. Tried to make a decision not to, because you got to remember, these guys are young men. They're young adolescent men. But gosh, the lack of effort at the ball from Ollie Henry on multiple times, you can't give that sort of effort and expect to play AFL football. So I don't know if he's down on confidence. I don't know if he's soft. I don't know if he's just scared of getting hurt. But he sits and waits for the ball, and it's crazy because his brother is as hard as a cat's head at the ball. So you don't know what's happening in that backyard as they grow up. But one's as soft as the other is hard. And it's, I'm sitting there going, you've got Ollie Wiltshire, who is an emergency, who plays that same role. You've got Danger coming back. Like, for Ollie Henry, he had to know going into last night's game that he really had to just leave nothing on the table to keep his spot, and he didn't. So, I would almost, as a selector, be drawing a line through his name unless there's injuries. After that last night, it was really poor.
Hawk, naughty corner.
Well, we talked about the umpires a bit. There was one in particular where, and there's both sides of this. Warple, I don't know if you remember seeing it. Warple tackled a guy, got the free kick, and then he did. And I mentioned this 2 or 3 times last year. I don't like it when you get the free kick and then you go and yell at the guy who you got the free kick off, or get up in his face. Or in this case, Warple kind of shoved him while he was still down on the ground.
There was nothing to it.
No, and the umpire, there was a camera angle, the umpire was there, he watched it, he hesitated for a moment because he thought, I've got to intervene here, and then he's blown the whistle and reversed it, and he's gone too high, and it wasn't too high. He shoved him in between the shoulder blades. So, and again, that umpire's probably in a difficult position. The AFL doesn't want it, and I actually agree with it. As I said, I don't like it either. When if you get a free kick, good, just go back and take your free kick. Don't be a dickhead who wants to go that extra bit. And the NFL actually has, I reckon, it's got a good rule in this. They call it unsportsmanlike conduct, and so if there's any of that sort of thing, there'll be a penalty, and I quite like it. And I'm not precious on that sort of. I want more contact in the game. Let the ruckman jump at each other. I don't want anyone to misunderstand me here, but I don't like that aspect of it. But anyway, that umpire to say too high as a justification, that was just rubbish. Along the same lines, Petrarca, I'm putting him in the naughty corner. He had a great game, but and I probably should cut him some slack. He was excited to be out there at New Club and all that, and was dominating. But he was going around getting all lippy and getting up in the Geelong players' grill as well. And I thought, mate, just keep your mouth shut. You're having a good night. Yeah. You're having a good win. Just go about your business. So for his lack of humility, he can go in the naughty corner. And the final one, the ground announcer. Did you guys hear this? They're about to start the fourth quarter, and this is the way footy's going actually, and the Hollywood aspect of it. You could hear the ground announcer say, "Make some noise," while the light towers were kind of flashing. I'm thinking, geez, is that what we've become? The Americanization of the game is continuing, and it's just getting so frustrating. But the AFL might be right. They treat the football audience like they have no attention span with all these rule changes because the game is just simply built around pace. All they want is action and goals and non-stop movement. I think they disrespect the AFL public, but maybe they're right. Maybe everyone is getting to the point where the attention span is so small, we need constant noise and lights, the sound and light show. But that made me want to turn the TV off when I heard that ground announcer.
That is a sign of your age, though, Hawk. That's everywhere. And Ronnie would know this being in radio. Music now, 10, 15 years ago, when you recorded a song, if you had a song that went for more than 3.5 minutes, your label record producers would be saying, no, listen, it's got to chop it down. What can we cut? Because radio won't play anything that's 3.5 minutes. Now, you're in the studio and people are going, you know what? This song probably needs to be 2.5 minutes. So let's shorten it up because radio won't play it for this. People's attention span, is dissipating, especially younger Gen Zs and, so that they would have done copious market research studies and looked into it and gone, yep, this is where they're at.
There was a great interview a couple of weeks ago, Scott, with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. They've just released a movie a couple of weeks ago on Netflix called The
Yes,
Rip.
great. I've
It's
seen
really
it. It's
great.
fantastic. It's fantastic.
Totally worth seeing.
Yeah.
But Netflix, when the boys presented the script to them, said, okay, it's great, but we need an action sequence in the first 5 minutes. Can you go rewrite it, please? Because audiences need that or they're not going to watch it.
Well, I've just witnessed too my staid inability to shift from my antique age category to Scotty's capacity to be down with the young folk, as Scotty referenced them as Gen Z, as opposed to me calling them Gen Z. There's the capacity of Scotty to be so fluid and flexible.
Yeah, Scotty's a little bit forgiving of it all, and Hawk, you're still screaming, "Get off my lawn!"
That's right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm with you, Hawk. Like, I long for the day where we can have things as they were when we grew up. But the reality is, the only constant in life is change, and you can stand outside and shout at the wind, or you can just accept that this is where it's at.
Yeah, no, you're right. You only have to just look around, which is a rarity in itself, because when I look around, I see other people on their phones at bus stops, anywhere there's a moment to wait somewhere, you see people looking at their phones. So, the AFL is probably doing exactly the right thing. We're right. We're catering for the moment. We understand it's an entertainment industry and all that sort of thing, but I personally don't care for it.
And the cynic in me tells me that they probably have the conversation where they go, look, the 35, 40 and above demographic, they are rusted on fans. There's nothing that we can do that is going to make them. They're not going to jump off and go to rugby league or union or anything else. What we need to do, it's a bit like the the Hillsongs of the world, the mega churches. They sit there and go, right, we've got them. How do we suck the next generation in? So it's all calculated and it's all very cold almost. Because they know they've already got us.
Yeah.
So how do they get our kids and our grandkids?
Well, one thing
bad ideas, boys. No bad ideas. But what about a spin-off podcast for the four of us called The World's Gone to Shit? Who's in?
I mean,
Hawk and I have already been having planning meetings of that podcast on the phone every week for the last 15 years.
I'll make one concession about the Gold Coast, and Ronnie will know this better than all of us. The Gold Coast has been a bit of a graveyard for sport, and over the years they've tried the first iteration of the Bears, etc., and all that. And the AFL probably understands that up there, like you're saying, Scotty, they don't have a rusted-on traditional footy base, so they have to have that attitude that this is an entertainment package. So I can concede that one up there.
I'll tell you that last year, remember, I made the bold statement that my soft spot team used to be Carlton and now it's the Gold Coast. And watching them last night, I hated every minute of it, obviously, because the Catters were so bad. But the Gold Coast looks good, and the stadiums actually had people in them, and it was kind of cool for the city.
Yeah, and look, as a football lover, which I am, I look at the big picture of Queensland and the Gold Coast. There's so many Melbourne, Adelaide, Perth people that have moved to the Gold Coast. Like, there is a waiting fan base there. They just need a bit of success for an extended period of time, and they will start packing that stadium out in exactly the same way that Brisbane does now every single week. So when you're talking about the longevity of the game, because I read an article last week that the NRL has overtaken the AFL in different metrics, and blah blah blah. They'd be looking at all that stuff as well. Because at the end of the day, this all boils down to it's a fight over a finite amount of money. There's a finite amount of money that the community has to spend on going to games and buying subscriptions and buying memberships, and the AFL and the NRL and whoever else are butting heads trying to get that finite pot. And so all of this it just boils down to the consumerism and the commercialization and the dollars.
There's no doubt football is an entertainment thing now as much or more than a sport. And that has to be taken into account because, as you say, it's an economic reality that they're all fighting for a limited amount of money. There's a really fascinating interview with Greg Swan on SEN, and they asked him about, did you watch any of the NRL Las Vegas season opening stuff? And he said, no, I didn't watch any of it. And he said, they talk a lot about us. We don't talk about them at all. And I really like that because the NRL, Peter V'landys is brilliant at what he's doing, but they are so AFL. We've got to beat the AFL. We've got to, outdo the AFL. And that, they claim to be Australia's number one sport, which is an absolute joke. And the AFL just said, hey, we're not bothered about them. We're just worried about what we're doing. Couple of things about that. Years and years ago, when Star Wars came out, it blew people away. It was like, wow, what a great concept, exciting movie, fantastic. People were, and it's still a phenomenon now. And when the sequel came out, there's always that worry about, is the sequel is very, very nice.
Nice action figure, Hawk. Thanks for presenting that.
Is the sequel going to be as good as the first? And in a lot of people's minds, The Empire Strikes Back is even better than Star Wars. Oh, look at that. Ronnie's got his Darth Vader tattoo. Unbelievable. And a university did some study on what was the difference between Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back. And it was technical changes. So in Star Wars, there was a technical change every X number of seconds in the movie, from a action shot to a sound effect to an explosion to a lightsaber, whatever. And it was the technical changes which kept people engrossed. And Empire Strikes Back had more, like it increased the tempo of them. And that's the trend in movies and in entertainment. Technical change, sound, light, music, art, color is what draws people. And you're right, Hawk, we're all a bit addicted to phones, everybody but you. And I've sat for an hour just scrolling through things that make me laugh, that make me entertained, that make me challenged, politics and dumb stuff. And it's so easy because it's so packaged and so, it's in little chunks that you can just bite off. Yeah, bite size. And that's the way the world is. And so footy is following that trend.
Marcus, thanks for sharing that with us. That's all very informative and true. But the thing about that whole that you just said then that stuck with me is that you said a couple of years ago when Star Wars came out. And I'll give you the tip, mate. When Star Wars came out, I wasn't toilet trained. Now I understand that you were probably in your fifth year of retirement by that stage. A couple of years ago when Star Wars, bloody hell. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Marcus, you owe us a naughty corner.
Well, I had Donald Trump in there, but I think I'm about to move him sideways to put Darlow in there for, we're halfway through our first episode of the year and I'm already being potted.
He's already age shaming you.
But yeah, naughty corner is clearly Donald Trump for everything he said and done in the last year. It makes my skin crawl, makes my heart bleed, makes my mind explode. Is there a breaking point? Will there come a point when the world, America, wakes up and says, hang on, we've really made a bad mistake here and we need to do something about it? He just keeps pushing and pushing and pushing, doing more and more outrageous stuff and getting away with it. And, if any other previous president had done two of the things that he's done, they'd have been gone. They'd have been long gone. And Trump just rides over it, just into the next, into the next, into the next. He's the most astounding and horrendous individual I've ever considered. He's sorry.
I don't want to give too many personal opinions here because I plan on being in the United States next month and I would like to get through the borders unscathed. But I will say this. I think a lot of people are sitting back going, why is he not being challenged? Why is this allowing to happen? Previous presidents, blah, blah, blah. I think the issue that they have, without going too far down this rabbit hole, is that they don't have the Senate and they don't have the House. So there's not a whole lot they can do to censor him because he's got both houses. I think what they're doing, it'd be interesting to see what you think, Ronnie, being 5 minutes away from there. But I wonder if they're just going, we're going to give you as much rope as you like until the midterms. And then after the midterms, we can hopefully have a result that allows us to make some change. That's the only
He's
thing
going
I
to do
can think of.
everything he can to not have the midterms, though, Scott.
Yeah.
He's gonna do everything he can. And to your point, Marcus, I'm with you. I hope something happens in terms of hitting the breaking point before World War III does it for him, because it feels perilously close, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How lucky are we living in Australia?
Oops.
Honestly.
Oops.
Sorry, Ronnie.
I'm
Sorry,
next
Ronnie.
door.
Yeah.
My naughty corner is the Geelong Football Club, and it's not for
Yes.
any reasons that you might think about the game. I'm a proud member, have been for 12, 13 years now, paid member, and for the life of me, I could not find on the Cats shop a 2026 scarf. There's no members scarf this year. I had to buy like a silly backpack thing that says 2026 member, and it made my heart sad.
Well, and living in Canada, you need scarves, not backpacks.
That's right.
Well, you can put
you
your
have to
stuff
wrap.
in the backpack, I suppose, if you're inside.
But you could. Yeah. Like the scarf to keep my extremities warm.
Yes.
I'll leave that mental picture for you guys. So let's get on to season predictions, boys. We had fun with this last year, and particularly lots of fun in looking back over the history of what we all said and how wrong we were most of the time. So let's start with what position on the ladder will Geelong finish the home and away season? Scott.
Gosh, I'm going to go with 7th.
Okay.
Yep.
Hawk.
Well, my instinct, I think, I'll say 6th.
Marcus.
We might create history and play in one of the first ever wildcard games. So
Please tell me that's not happening. Is it happening?
yeah. 7 and 10 and 8 and 9 before the finals.
For the love of God, leave it alone.
Discussion of Americanization.
Yeah, I hate it. Stop messing with it. My prediction's 5th. Let it be said. Yeah. Who will be the premier of the 2026 season? Scott.
I reckon it's going to be a Brisbane Gold Coast grand final, and I'm going to tip Brisbane to salute with a three-peat.
With a three-peat.
I look at Brisbane's side, and all of their guns are just they're young. Like their full forwards 20. They've got those Ashcroft brothers. Like, it's ridiculous what they've got coming into that side. You've got Kitty Coleman coming back from injury. They are going to be very, very hard to beat.
Hawk.
Well, I'm not a gambling man, Ronnie, but I believe one of the golden rules is back the same horse until it loses. I think that's a pretty sound theory. So I'm going to stick with Brisbane for the reasons Scott just said.
And who do you think they'll be playing in the grand final?
Well, it could be the Queensland Derby. So I'll sit next to Scott on that bus because the Gold Coast Suns may well do it.
Marcus?
Yeah, we're all victims of recency bias. We saw Gold Coast look phenomenal last night, and so we all think they'll do it. But I have to confess, I've written down Gold Coast as well for the grand final. And Brisbane, for those exact reasons, Scotty, the age. When you look at Geelong, grand finalists from last year, they're all going out the back end. Danger, Jazz, Blitzarves, they're all very close to the end, whereas Brisbane have got all these kids. And let's just throw in Oscar Allen, pretty decent full forward. So, and did they get Sam Draper as well?
Sam Draper in the ruck, like they are going to get better.
Yeah.
And
so I don't like to see it, but I think Brisbane will repeat the three.
Recency bias is a thing, Marcus, absolutely right. I'm basing mine too on last season when they made they won their first final, and so they had a good solid season under their belt, and they've improved on that, it would seem. So.
And we've never been more aware, and if you're not aware of this, you should be, of how important a senior coach is. Carlton are a diabolical shambles because they continue to employ a man who is not capable of doing their job. I'm not even joking. You think I'm joking, mate? You think I'm trying to be funny? Carlton Carlton are a diabolical mess, and they will not. Carlton will have no success until they pay his contract out or they sack him or whatever. On the alternative, I can't stand Damien Hardwick based on the things that I've seen of his character. but there's no question that he can coach.
Oh, yeah.
There's
He's
no
amazing.
question that Chris Fagan can coach. So, that's the one thing that I sit here looking at Geelong. I'm a bit flat after last night, obviously, but not only that, exactly as Marcus said, like the players who really stand up and win your games of footy for us are all 30 plus. So
Yeah.
we really need to see a couple of those young kids who are 20, 21, 22. We need to see Ollie Dempsey go into the midfield and actually have a all-Australian season as an on-baller as opposed to being a wingman. Like, we need a couple of those young blokes to stand up. You know, that's not the case with Brisbane, and it's not the case with the Gold Coast. They've got these young sides that have got great coaches. Thank God we've got Chris Scott, or we'd be really, really spiralling.
Just to add into that, Ronnie, Damien Hardwick made a huge statement when he went to Gold Coast. He said something like 80% of Gold Coast first premiership team is already here. And everybody laughed because they'd done nothing at that stage, never made finals or looked like it. Well, now we're saying, hey, these guys, they'll definitely make finals, probably make the grand final, could even win their first flag. And Hardwick is a huge, huge, huge part of that. He is obviously a brilliant coach. Ronnie, who's your premier and grand finalist?
I think the Suns are going to win the flag this year. And yes, recency bias, but that team that played against Geelong can't be beaten, I don't think. Not if they're on fire. I think the game is against the Hawks in the grand final. That's my prediction. I think Brisbane finishes in the 8 but doesn't perform as well as previous years, and I think some of that is going to be the Lachie Neale damage because he's a dirtbag, and I think it really rattled them at the start of last season with the Vegas gate, and I think this year it's going to really do damage.
Can I speak into Hawthorn just for a second? They've had another season-ending injury to Will Day, who's their best midfielder. They've got injuries to other blokes. They've lost some players. I like what's happening at Hawthorn because their midfield is got holes in it due to injury and departure, and I'm here for it. I'm very happy about it. It's good. I like it.
Oh, it's always good to see the pee and the poo fall over. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
But I think they might. I think that might be there this year.
I live for a world where Essendon continue to unravel, Carlton continue to stay at the bottom, Hawthorn continue to just implode. These are good things.
Yeah. All right, Brownlow, Scotty, who's going to win that?
Brownlow medal. I reckon I'd like to see. This is what I'd like to see. I'd like to see George Stevens come in next week and continue on his form of last year, where he got a Brownlow medal vote in his first game. That is what I'm going to manifest in my mind.
Okay. Hawk?
Well, I suppose you could pick the winner if you pick the right grouping of, I don't know, a dozen players maybe, because the Brownlow medal is the media medal, as we know, and it's whoever gets the most buzz. So it could be Dacos, it could be Wanganeen Millerer, it could be the other guy, not Real, the other one from Gold Coast,
Anderson.
It could be him. And maybe, it could be Petrarca. He's always kind of been thereabouts. And maybe Bontempelli gets it in the sense of a Lifetime Achievement Award, like they do at the Oscars. He hasn't won the Best Actor. Let's give him a Lifetime Achievement Award. Who
He
knows?
has stupid tattoos, though, and that makes me a bit angry.
Well, I'm not saying I want him to win, Ronnie. Don't misunderstand me. But, yeah, it'll be whoever the media deems the most likely.
Can you narrow that down to a one name for me, please, Hawk?
Yeah, you have one pick, Hawk?
Dacos.
Okay.
I'm just going to preface what I said earlier. I hope and manifest and believe for George Stevens to win, but realistically, Christian Petrarca will win it.
Right, okay.
I agree. That put me down for Petrarca too, Marcus. Who you got?
I've got LeBont. I love him as a player. I think he's absolutely brilliant, and he does deserve it. I know there's a whole question about the Brownlow and stuff, but he deserves it. He's a very good player. One big change, you might not have heard this, Ronnie, is that umpires will now have access to stats after the game. It's been a belief that they've never been allowed or used stats, whether you know that for truth or not. But now they can officially look at basic statistics after a game. So that might bring into play somebody who's a bit, not stuck in the middle, but has a big impact in other ways. Who knows? But anyway, Bontempelli for me.
Okay. Norm Smith. Scotty.
Norm Smith. What's that kid who plays at full forward for the Lions with the number 13 on his back? Is it Logan Morris? Is that his name?
Oh, with the great hair?
No. The young kid who plays full forward for the Lions. I think it's Logan Morris.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Morris might be the one you're thinking of. Yeah.
He's going to kick 6 in the granny and get the Norm Smith.
All right.
Nice, Hawk.
Well, let's say because we've said Brisbane will win it again, and most likely it'll come from the winning side, but not always. Could be Gold Coast. Let's say again if they make it, and they're the losing side. But I want to fly the flag left of centre, left field. Fly the flag for the old defenders and someone who possibly could have even won it last year, Harris Andrews. Now he won't win it. He won't win it because, like the Brownlow, the Norm Smith is a midfielder's medal. But I'm sticking with Harris Andrews anyway.
I'm saying Will Ashcroft from the Lions.
Going on a limb, Marcus. Go. He's only won the last 2. Bloody hell.
I'm going with Matt Rowell for Norm Smith.
Ooh, that's a
Wooden
good one.
spoon, Scotty.
It'll be Carlton and Essendon will be fighting it out. Essendon because they've got a whole bunch of things happening inside the 4 walls of that club that can't be spoken of but are absolutely detrimental to the culture of a club. And Carlton because they're coached by somebody who he couldn't coach his way out of a paper bag.
So which one are you picking?
One.
Yeah, the big
I need one.
Carlton.
Splinters in your bum.
Carlton. They've lost their best player, Carlton.
Hawk?
Well, using the same theory about my lack of expertise in betting, and I marginally embarrassed myself last year by saying West Coast will be the great improver, and since they weren't, I won't change until I've seen otherwise. So I'll pick West Coast.
West Coast? Why bet on a new horse? I like it. Marcus?
Yeah, I've written West Coast down, and I'll be happy to see it.
I think it's Essendon. I'm with you, Scott. I'm going to go the other way, though. I think the Bombers are going to bomb.
I mean, the only thing I'll say about West Coast is, and this is what we forget, they've only got to improve a little bit, and they've got 12 or 13 home games in WA. Do you know what I mean? Like, the minute they start to get a little bit good, they'll bank 6 games just because they're playing at home.
Oh, yeah. It's a complete mystery they've been rubbish for so long. It just shouldn't happen for that reason.
Yep.
I'm going to save us some time on this one. First sacked coach. Does anyone think it's not going to be Voss?
Well, did you see this week in the press? I heard a report last night on the radio. I was listening to SEN. Apparently, Graham Wright, who's now the head of footy at Carlton, made phone calls the day after. So yesterday, during the day, Friday, made a phone call to McRae at Collingwood to say, how much will it take to get you out and get you in here?
Yeah.
Mate, they're already looking one game in, they're already looking at getting rid of him. He's only contracted till the end of this year anyway. He'll be gone by the bye. You watch.
Unfortunately for Vossi, the single worst thing happened, and that was the third quarter.
It was
that's the one thing he didn't need, which of course I didn't see. I was too busy watching the Iranian women rolling around on the ground. I think that was happening at the same time. I heard it the next day that Carlton had capitulated in the third quarter. So that's probably tightened the noose around Vossi's neck already, unfortunately.
Marcus, do you agree?
I do. I've written Voss, but here we go. I'm going out on a limb for you here, Scotty. Outside chance, Alistair Clarkson.
Ooh.
Yeah, well, he's a fraud. He's a fraud as well, so let's be honest about that. He hasn't coached finals for well over a decade. And I had this conversation with somebody last week. Alistair Clarkson absolutely just should have bought a Tats ticket because he rolled up to Hawthorn and John Hook, who was the recruiting manager, said, "Oh, listen, mate, I've just drafted a few players for you in the space of 2 years. There's a guy called Buddy Franklin, Jared Roughhead, Jordan Lewis, Luke Hodge, Sam Mitchell. Within about 3 years, he got a glut of all-time legends delivered to him. And when he's had to actually coach a side, it's a bit like Dennis Pagan at North. You know, Dennis Pagan rocked up to North Melbourne and he had an under-19 side that had Wayne Carey, John Longmire, Wayne Schimmelbusch, Glenn Archer, Anthony Stevens, et cetera, et cetera. When he got to Carlton and had to actually coach, he had no idea what he was doing.
I think Wayne Schimmelbusch had retired by then.
At North Melbourne? Wayne, what's his name? Wayne Schwass. I apologise. Yes, thank you, Simon. Having a senior moment over here.
One of our categories is the bolter, the club that jumps into real contention. It's got to be the Suns, hasn't it? Has anyone else got a better offer?
Well, they played finals last year. That's the only thing. So,
but did they finish 8th? I think it was 8th.
No, they won their first final. They won their first final. Now, the Suns will improve, but they finished. They won their first final. So, if we're talking about a bolter, it's got to be the Saints, doesn't it? Like, as much as I hate that club because I hate everybody, like It's a lot of hate in my heart for everyone except for Geelong. And I hate the way they've gone about it. They've gone out and spent so much money, but I don't see how that side doesn't improve with the players they've put in there.
Yeah, I disregarded the Suns based on that same point that
Okay.
they made
Sure.
finals. They will go up. There's no doubt about that. I'm sure they will go up. But and it's a bit unusual to say that the Swans would be a bolter because we're used to them being up. But I was surprised to read. I think they finished 10th last year. Is that right?
Mm.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
the only talk around that I've read is that the Swans will improve, and I sense everyone else will kind of stay
Yeah,
pretty
that's
much
fair.
where they have been. So the only one I can see really climbing. I'd love to see the Saints go up, but I'll believe it when I see it.
Charlie Curnow sure looked good in red and white. Marcus?
Yeah, I've written St Kilda down, similar reasons. I've watched the highlights again of the last 5 to 10 minutes of that game last year, and I'd forgotten St Kilda came from 46 points down at three-quarter time to beat Melbourne, and Wanganeen Malera kicked 2 goals in the last 30 seconds. And it was the most exciting, incredible, brilliant finish to a football game I can remember that didn't involve Geelong. And if he can continue on, and they've added in a couple of others, yeah, I think St Kilda are going to rise.
Well, if I can't have the Suns, and I get that they were already in the 8, put me down for West Coast because I think they're going to do much better this year.
Ooh.
Oh,
There's some difference amongst us there then.
I hope you haven't
Hey.
made my mistake from last year, Ronnie.
Maybe one of us had to look. The opposite of the bolter, the sinker. What club is going to make a large brown stain in the bed? Scott.
well, speaking of a large brown stain in the bed, I think it'd be the Hawks.
Right. So I've got him in the grand final, and you've got him as a sinker. So that's interesting.
Yeah, I think they've had injuries. They've lost some players from the midfield. They were hell bent on getting Petrarca, and they didn't get him because they know that their midfield struggles. And I still don't think they've got you got a midfield that relies on Marby or Chol to stand up at full forward. I don't think that they have the players. I think they're very well coached. I think that Mitchell's probably one of the best 3 or 4 coaches in the league, as much as I say that through grit and teeth. But I just don't think they've got the squad.
Well, I'll say this without much confidence, which I say most things with a lack of confidence, really. But I'm going to pick Collingwood, mainly just on the age demographic, I think.
I'm on them too. I think that it's going to be a rough year for the Pies. I can feel it.
Oh gosh, I hope that's true.
Particularly if McRae walks across the road to Carlton.
Well, to be fair, they interviewed Craig McRae yesterday, and they asked him about that, and he said, "Are you kidding? No one's rang me, and why would I go and take my best mate's job?"
Money talks, though. Marcus?
Why would?
At the risk of this being my last ever appearance on the Cat Pack podcast,
Oh, I can't believe it.
I think the one that's going to drop the most, considering they played in the grand final last year, is Geelong.
Oh, wow.
Can't believe it.
Wow.
Marcus, you're a bit like that kid who just sits there going, "My team's in the grand final. I'm going to bet $100 on the people we're playing against, so that if we lose, I have an emotional hedge."
Even if he thought it, I can't believe he's.
I know you, mate. I know you. That's an emotional hedge you've just predicted.
And I'm not angry, Marcus. I'm just disappointed.
I mean, to be fair, he's probably right.
The rest of us won't admit it. Who's going to win the Coleman? Scotty.
Who's going to win the Coleman? I'm going to put my money on the big boy in Sydney, Charlie Curnow. I think he'll probably kick 85 goals and he'll win it comfortably.
Well, in preparing for this podcast the other night, I jumped on the AFL stats just to see who was leading the Coleman. I couldn't believe there were so many Sydney and Carlton blokes up there. It was unbelievable. I thought, what's going on? Hasn't anyone else kicked any goals yet?
It's a good stick.
Yeah. So I was going to pick whoever was at the top of that list, and it was someone starting with A from Carlton, but that may have just been alphabetical order. I'm not sure. But based on last night, and if he stays fit and healthy, I'll go with King from Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Marcus?
Then
Coleman.
Sorry, is that me? I was
Yeah,
just
I guess
writing.
you're going to put it down for Jezza since we're out of the 8 in your heart. And it's not even round 1. It's just it's the pretend opening round. Who's going to win the Coleman?
Yeah, I've written down Charlie Curnow.
I got Zach Butters.
One thing that really helps Sydney goal kickers is the size of the ground. Like the guy grabs it out of midfield and kicks deep, and the guys mark it in the goal square,
Yeah.
and so it's an easy ground to attack on, and so that's going to help Curnow. Sorry, I cut you off then, Ronnie.
No, that's okay. That's a good stat. My pick's Zach Butters.
To win the Coleman.
I think he's going to have a blinder year. Yep,
He's not exactly a forward, Ronnie.
I know. Just you put me down.
Okay, okay.
I'm prepared to be the laughing stock in August.
Been a few whispers about Geelong getting him next season. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, but he's
lovely.
older again. I don't know. We need, like Scotty said, we need some of the young blood to just stand up. That's what we need more than
It's all right. George
a quant.
Stevens is going to. It's okay. George Stevens is going to win a Brownlow. It's all good.
Early retiree. Put me down for Stephen May. No, that's probably
Bravo. Bravo.
I'm going to be a bit contentious here, and I'm going to do what you did a minute ago, Marcus. Put
Right.
me down for Danger.
Danger. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Scotty, early retiree.
Early retiree. I don't know. You have to come back to me on that. I'm going to have a think about it.
Good prep. Hawk.
Well, early retiree, we're pretty much talking about an age demographic, aren't we? So, Danger up there in that age demographic. So I think I'll just go the oldest bloke. And if he's unfortunately, I don't wish it upon him, but he's one injury away from retiring, and that's Pendlebury.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good one. Good one. Marcus?
Only because I heard him make this comment in an interview somewhere where he said, "Yeah, I'm loving footy, but could end quickly." He said something along those lines. If Jezza gets an injury, I can see Jezza pulling the pin, just saying, "Yeah, I'm happy," because he's not so bound up in football. It's not football is his life and blood and breath.
I was going to say Jezza too, but then I didn't want to be the I didn't want to manifest that. It was just why I asked for a minute. But my thought was the same thing, Marcus. I think with Danger, he lives and breathes it. He's talking about, I heard him interview the other day talking about hopefully he wants to play again next year.
Yeah, I heard that too.
You know, so I don't see Danger. Even if he got an injury, I think he'd be like, well, I'm going to go into the rehab and I can still, Whereas I think if Jezza got an injury or a, dare I say it, and to be honest, that's what gives me concerns about the Cats. I think I might have put this in the group chat yesterday. As good as Shannon Neal was last year, there's a very big difference between being the second forward and the P in the pod. And I don't know that he has got what it takes to be the guy who leads that forward line. To me, that's the biggest challenge that we have as a footy club is who's our next big key forward who will actually grab that forward line and drag it under his wing. Because I don't know that Shannon Neal's the guy.
I did this with Guthrie, and I've fallen on my sword. I did not see any talent in him, and now I love him, obviously, and he's fancy new haircut. But Shannon Neal needs to go sell T-shirts at the Cats shop. It's for me. I don't see it at all.
Yeah.
Want to see it?
Look,
I can't.
The thing that kind of is a concern is they talk about him being a young player, but he's 23 or 24. Like he's not. He's not. I don't know. Big blokes take longer. What do you reckon of him, Hawk?
Well, we've all been a bit excited by his highlights. The one big mark he does take and easily kicking a nice straight goal from outside 50. So he's got plenty of upside. I think what we're all saying is we'd like to see more of the upside more regularly. And he goes missing. He's invisible for far too long. He's another one of those guys, a bit like Blitzarves, that came from a running background. And I was amazed when I heard that. I thought a bloke of his size, I couldn't believe he was a middle distance runner of 400 or whatever he was, a specialist. And he just looks like that sort of bloke. He looks like someone who's played a bit of junior footy but has really come from outside the footy system, and they're trying to make him into a player. So, but yeah, we can't play the patience game forever with someone who you want to be your number one forward. I'm with you, Scotty. He's a decoy or a second focus forward.
Yeah, I'm staggered that they didn't throw more at Charlie Curnow last year. Like they must have somebody up their sleeve that they want this year. Maybe it's Zach Butters. But when Charlie Curnow said that he wanted to come to Geelong last year and we didn't go, right, what do you want? Like, I almost would have swapped. I almost would have traded Shannon Neal for Charlie Curnow last year.
Oh, in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it's hard to know what they were asking, and they might have said, no, we've got no interest in Shannon Neal. We want this and this and this and this, and the Cats said, well, no, there's no way we're giving you that. It's hard to know, but I would suspect that's what's happened. Geelong were probably open to it, and the two parties just couldn't meet.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they'd have had to offer up somebody like Ollie Dempsey to get Curnow, I reckon. And anyway,
yeah, except Carlton gave away two very middle of the road midfielders for Curnow. I mean, sorry, Sydney. What they ended up getting? What did they get? Florent and somebody else. Like, it's not like Sydney. It's not like Sydney, but he gave up, Isaac Heeney which is what you're talking about with Ollie Dempsey. So it's hard to know, but we should have asked Wellesley when we had him on.
Yeah.
The win-loss record after 10 rounds put me down for 5-5, Marcus. Scotty, what about you?
3-7.
Ooh.
We got a very hard start. We're a month behind everyone else in our preseason training, and I think we'll come home with a wet sail. But it'll be a tough first couple of months.
Well, I haven't looked at the draw. That was very absent-minded of me. But I will say, based on what Scotty says about a tough start, I'll be slightly more positive. I'll give them 4 and 6.
Marcus?
Right. Yeah, I was with you, Ronnie, about 50-50, 5-5.
Yeah. These predictions are killing me, boys. Like, you're the one taking all the notes, Marcus. But from what I can remember, none of us have us in the grand final. We're going to sink. Either Danger or Jez is going to retire early. I might just cancel my subscription now. Final category is controversy. What craziness is going to happen? I don't think it's done for Lachie Neale. Put me down for that. There's more. That's the story that keeps on giving. There's more.
Okay, here's a controversy. Carlton's president is going to send a photo of his junk to Twitter and then blame his wife, and then his wife is going to sue him in the Supreme Court for defamation. Oh, no, sorry, that's already happened. Yeah. Luke Sayer's wife is suing him for defamation for trying to blame his junk pic on her. What a creep. What a cretin. What a scumbag.
As if Carlton needs more of a mess.
Oh, yeah. Unreal. Scandal, yeah. It's going to turn out that Brad Scott and Chris Scott are actually the same person. There's only one of them. And Brad Scott has been trolling Essendon and North Melbourne supporters all these years as Chris.
So that beard is fake? He puts it on each week?
Yes.
Amazing.
His makeup routine is painstaking.
I bet. Talk.
Controversy, scandal. The one thing I can see simmering away, and I think the clubs are already not happy with it, and based on Ross Lyon pretty much bringing it out into the open and making the Nepo baby comment, I think there's going to be ongoing issues with the AFL about the Queensland academies, and that's just not going to settle and sit well if the Queensland sides, as we have predicted, go on to dominate this season.
Marcus?
Right. Okay. Well, I'm going left field. The controversy is tinged with a great deal of tragedy for me. Tottenham Hotspur are going to be relegated from the English Premier League.
Oh, that hurts.
Yes.
Yeah. That means
Making
QPR
room
and
for
Tottenham
Wrexham.
will play each other next year.
Welcome
Yeah.
to the championship, big boy.
Wait till you come and play at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, mate. You won't know what you've walked into. We'll have the
Mate, you won't be allowed into Loftus Road. They'll buddy neck you on the way in.
But it's okay because Ange will be back by then. They'll hire him again.
Possibly
yes,
true
it's,
what Scotty said. That's the funny thing.
Oh, yeah, it was in the news.
Yeah.
A reminder to our dear listeners that Marcus has a mailbag, and you can email us anytime with your thoughts, questions, and often complaints, thecatpack@myyahoo.com. It's thecatpack@myyahoo.com. Also on Insta and Facebook. First episode of the season, really. I'm guessing there's not much yet, Marcus?
No, it's very quiet so far.
Unbelievable.
Did have
What
a
whole
couple of
summer.
comments.
The bag should be
A
full.
couple of comments from people who liked the Stephen Wells interview or
Nice.
episode.
Yeah, that was fun. All right, back to the quiz. We were talking about the State of Origin game, and I think the question you posed, Marcus, was the number of Cats players that were in that game?
Well, the exact wording was the number of cats involved in the State of Origin game.
Oh, okay.
So he's obviously including Chris Scott, who was the coach of Victoria.
Yep, trick question.
That's 1.
Classic.
Lawson Humphries is 2.
Yeah.
Tom Stewart 3. Jezza 4. Danger 5.
Yeah, well, Jezza didn't play.
He didn't, did he?
No, because his arm's still rotten.
And
And that, now he's hurt his leg.
Oh, has he?
Oof.
Yeah.
It's no good.
Put me down for 6. I don't know. I'm just taking a stab that there's another couple I can't think of.
Mm.
What's the count up to? 5?
I got 6.
I'm going to go with 5.
5 for
5.
Scotty. What are you doing, Hawk?
Well, I'll go with 5.
Yeah, well, you're all wrong.
Whatever Scott said.
you're all wrong. It was 6. So you
Oh,
left-
Ronnie.
Ronnie was correct.
Ronnie's predicted 6.
Sorry, Ronnie, did you say 6? I was so
How
distracted.
very dare you, Marcus? I nailed it.
Sorry, Ronnie. The one they left out was Bailey Smith.
Of
Of course.
Yeah, but it's okay because he left. He wasn't playing on the last game against the Gold Coast, so
No.
that makes up for it. He was
So
on.
Ronnie
just
nailed that. Ronnie nailed that question in the same way that he's nailing breakfast radio in Canada at the moment. Just winning the surveys and just giving a bit of what for.
Thanks, Scott. I'll send you $50 as promised.
Ronnie is to Canadian radio what Kyle and Jackie O are not to Australian radio.
Because I'm employed.
Correct.
Talking of which, mate, what's your station called? Are we going to be able to listen to you on the internet?
Yeah, you can stream us. It's so z1035.com. We call ourselves Z1035. There's some history of that goes back 20 years, but yeah, so it's Z1035 and .com, and you can click the listen live button and hear us all over the world. And Melbourne time on my show's on about 8 p.m.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so
Very
if you can't sleep, throw that on. You'll be out like a light within 3 or 4 minutes.
And
Excellent.
you talk a lot about the US sport, specifically the Boston Bruins, and focusing on the Celtics and the Patriots and all that. Ronnie, being based in Toronto, of course, it's not far away.
Weird, Hawk. None of that's actually come up, but I'll
what
put
a
it in the
shame.
suggestions box and burn it.
Oh, gee, that's disappointing.
Do you say do you say things like Tim Hortons and a boot?
Oh yeah, of course. It was in my citizenship test. You have to.
Excellent.
And we start every show with an apology because we're Canadian. That's how it works. Boys, looking forward to another season with you lot, and fingers crossed we do better than we all are scared to predict.
Yeah, amen to that.
I think it won't be as bad as we think.
Yeah, we'll come home with the thing I've taken away from today is we're coming home with a wet sail. I'm back, feeling good.
And look, at the end of the day, as long as Collingwood and Essendon and Carlton continue to flounder, is anyone really losing? No. We're winning.
Yeah,
I take as much joy in that as I do in us winning.
Amen to that.
Striking the balance.
Thanks for spending some time with us. The podcast is shiny as Jim Carrey's new face. We are celebrating the greatest team of all. We're the Cat Pack. Till next time.
Hooray.
Yeah.
See you guys.
We're blue and white, there's not a doubt. We play the game to win. A team that knows commitment, that's the way it's always been. We rise up to the challenge, we give the game our all. With sheer determination, we go in for the ball. When the crowd thunders, go Cats, we break the banner down. We know they'll play with courage till the final siren sounds. And the rival team will know that they've been run down by a pack. But they're beaten by, defeated by the Cats. In a cat attack, go Cats. A cat attack, Geelong. A cat attack, go Cats. A cat attack, Geelong. In a cat attack, go Cats. A cat attack, Geelong. A cat attack, go Cats. A cat attack, Geelong. It's a long and proud tradition from the champions of old. And we know that in the future, new legends will unfold. And the Cats are up and running, and we're screaming out for more. You can feel the pressure rising, you can hear the whole town roar. When the crowd